What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi with my man Eric Sheetshaber. Hope you're all having a good Friday. It's Super Bowl Friday. I've got the Super Bowl FanDuel party tomorrow, which will be fun. It's probably not something Sheets would be interested in. It's more of like a hip hop show, but it's going to be fun to go. And I'm sitting and praying and holding out hope for Rams tickets. In the meantime, it's been a really lousy week for me NBA wise. Did well on FanDuel last night, about doubled my money, lost most of my bets on DraftKings. Just had the wrong mix, and probably should have incorporated more Cam Thomas instead of Patty Mills as the run back in that Washington situation. And then obviously the Giannis and them getting blown out was a little bit surprising. I had a lot of Giannis with Luka together, which felt like it was going to come in nicely towards the end, but it didn't quite get there. Anyway, Sheets, how did you do? And then what are your thoughts on this slate? We're past the trade deadline. We still have no idea who's going to play, by the way. There's a lot of guys who are up in the air who have been traded, and we don't know if they're going to play. Like, we know Harden won't, but there's a bunch of guys who might. So anyway.
I barely got there in the single entry last night at the very end. That was the only thing I did. We had a couple of ideas, but we just didn't quite get them right. The Randall idea was really good. You kept on saying, Eric, why don't you Randall? I just didn't do it.
Oh, really? I actually did the Randall thing in about 35% of my lineups. And then when I actually made him like 50% when I realized I was in bad shape early on.
Right.
Oh, that was my late switch. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was it. So I'm ready to move on for today, actually.
Yeah. And by the way, I just want to point out the bets again. The only bet that I would have lost, which I took down right after the trade happened, because we didn't know Dinwiddie was going to be traded, was I took down my Washington -3 bet. Every other bet won.
Really?
And I mean, I'm telling you guys, like, I didn't feel good about it. I actually wrote in the chat. I wrote in Discord. I was like, today might not be the day to go crazy on the bets because we don't know what's going to happen. It's very high variance. But I mean, I had the Knicks to cover, and they won outright. You know, I had basically all the games. I mean, and I listed every one of them, and they were all right. It's been really an unprecedented run, and I'm not saying that as a bragging thing. I'm really not. I really think you guys should take if they're not all going to win, you don't turn them all into a parlay every night. But I mean, the 80+% over the last few weeks is just crazy. You're not going to have runs like that very often. And for the season, I think I'm according to another tracking device that I'm using, I'm roughly 77% on my bets this year, which is just a stupid number. It's never going to be continue, but it'll probably be a good number. It's probably an indicator that at least I have some tap into what's going on. Anyway, Sheets, let's jump into this slate. Let's pull up your screen and talk through this. It's a big slate, but it's not that big of a slate. It's not, I've liked these balanced 6-7 games a night kind of a thing. It feels a lot more manageable, even with all the COVID stuff. I mean, imagine if we had 15 game slates where we had to deal with all that, it would be a nightmare. So we have a good little slate tonight. Do you have any overall thoughts before we jump into anything? Any absolute must plays?
It looks as though there's a little bit of balance with respect to the spend ups, and I'm now including LaMelo as part of the spend ups. So and what you brought up is interesting. I mean, about these guys that got traded, like some of them you think that actually might play. So Harden's not going to play though, right? I imagine not.
Harden, they said that is not expected to play.
Yeah. So so let's might as well get right into it. So I do have an observation, first of all, on Charlotte Detroit. First of all, LaMelo, again, to me looks like the best play on the slate, and guy's good, man. I mean, again, the guy likes to put up fantasy points too. He'll box his own guys out for rebounds. So like, no, he's a player as far as fantasy goes. So I'll keep playing him kind of regardless of price, and 9K is seems pretty reasonable. The comment I was going to make is that yesterday I played Jeremy Grant, and he was doing really, really nicely before the game, blew out and he didn't get back in the game. So he had his 35 fantasy points, like really, really without any fourth quarter run, I think. So that's something to keep in mind if Cade Cunningham remains out.
It's interesting though, because I don't think he was going to play many more minutes, because the thing is they haven't played him more than 30 minutes since he's come back. So, and the fact that they didn't trade him makes me believe they actually kind of do want to keep him. So I just wouldn't be so sure that he was gonna. I think maybe he was.
But he didn't come in at all in the fourth quarter, is what I'm saying.
Right, but he played the entire third because they were trying to hang in the game.
Right.
But my point is that
My point is that game's under 10 points, so he's going to come in with 6 minutes to go.
well, he also is going to leave probably with 4 or 5 minutes left to go in the third and come back for the last rotation. So I think the minutes would be similar. Is all I'm trying to say.
Okay. All right.
Just a theory, and especially on the back-to-back because of coming back from the injury and everything.
So I like so to get back to I like LaMelo. I still think he's the best play on the slate. And Oubre again looks like okay, but not as great, not as good as he did before the other day. So for me, it's really just I don't know, maybe just LaMelo out of this game. I don't know. I got to be able to be better, but right now that's what I have.
Yeah, I like this game quite a bit on the Charlotte side. It's really hard not to, and I don't think I'm going to be saying anything unusual in doing that. I think that the way that I'm looking at it is I like LaMelo. I like Oubre a lot, and I think people are going to come off of Oubre a little bit. I think this is like a kind of slate where you might have seen Oubre at like 60% owned if he didn't sort of bust the other night. He still took 19 shots, had a usage rate that was over 20%, which is what we see from him all the time. So I like Oubre. I think that those would be my two favorites, and then followed by some combination of Bridges, Rozier, and Washington. The only thing is I like Washington in general. He doesn't have to put up a ton of fantasy points when he's playing with all these other guys. And he's, that's the only thing I'm just going to throw out there. And Mason Plumlee, the minutes have sort of been all over the place, but it could just as likely be Plumlee as Washington. So all of these guys have my interest, but the ones who I'm prioritizing are LaMelo and Oubre, with Bridges and Rozier as my, one of those two, but preferably I think I would go Bridges personally. But I don't mind if you want to go Rozier.
Did you play Diallo last night?
I did.
I did too.
One of the good things I did last night. Not everything was good, but that was a good one. Cade Cunningham is going to dictate what we do with the other side of the ball. I have no problem going right back to Kelly Olynyk. And I know he only played 20 minutes last night. I think that he's an interesting value piece if other things don't open up. And even if they do, I think he's an interesting value piece. So I do like Olynyk. If there's no Cade, this slate, maybe you consider Corey Joseph. Maybe you consider the guy who I keep coming back to is that I feel like has got like going to put up like one of those 40+ games soon is Isaiah Stewart. And this is the kind of matchup where he could probably do it. So I'm curious to see whether Cade plays, but I think Olynyk and Isaiah Stewart are both interesting to me. And I don't think they have to split minutes. They can both play together. It's not the kind of matchup where they would both play together that much. It's the only thing that worries me. But one of Olynyk or Stewart, I think are probably my favorite two plays. And I never mind shots on Sadiq Bey when he's going to be low. I mean, I don't want to, not even low owned, but it's a great game environment. But I think that it's probably not the right slate for me. So I don't mind the Jeremy Grant thing. I'm not going to do it myself, probably. If Cade's out, different story. I'll revisit that. But for right now, those are the guys I'm interested in. Just depends.
Why not go back to Diallo?
Well, it's only if Cade's out.
Well, he hasn't played in like forever. I'm just presuming he's out again. No.
Maybe. It's only been a few games.
Yeah,
played on February 1st.
He was out 5. He's out 5 straight games. I mean.
Yeah, but that would you could make the argument also on a back-to-back. This would be the right time to try to play him. I don't know. It's an interesting. You're right. We'll know beforehand. So either way, currently Diallo is going to project terribly because he's not going to get many minutes if Cade plays.
Right.
But if Cade's out, yeah, Diallo is one we can absolutely go back to. So we just have to look out for that. And by the way, if Cade plays, I think this is like the kind of matchup you could get that 60 from him. I'm not saying he's going to get there every time, but this is a great matchup. So Cade is like. Cade or his other guys. This is a stackable game. You have Charlotte playing. Every game Charlotte plays should be looked at as stackable if you can find a way to do it. All right. You want to talk about Cleveland and Indy?
So we get LeVert revenge, like right off the bat, like first game?
Instant LeVert revenge.
But I mean, I wouldn't consider it revenge necessarily. But like, I don't. Is he going to get forward? I mean, I don't know what they're going to do over there. All I can tell you is that Cleveland got better. That's
I don't know if I agree with that, by the way.
I don't know. I like LeVert.
I think he's the most over. I mean, his on-off numbers are he's one of the worst players in the NBA for on-off numbers.
Oh, as far as plus minus, you mean?
And yeah, and in his usage, he's taking up usage. He has all this usage, but he takes up over guys who are just much better than him, and he doesn't defend. So it's kind of a little bit like I was a little worried about Cleveland. I mean, it makes sense in a vacuum why they did it, But I actually am a little bit worried about, I hope they don't like just give this guy the keys and let him drive, because this is Darius Garland's team. And this is Evan Mobley's team, more importantly.
Well, it could be Colin Sexton's team too when he comes back, right?
Yeah, I think Sexton's going to fall by the wayside a little bit, to be honest, with this team. I think they're just crushing everybody without him. Like they don't really, you know, but I like Sexton too. You know, another defender. All these guys play defense. Garland's just a little small, so I don't know. But anyway, it is interesting because he kept me off of having too much Garland the other night. Garland ended up having a nice night, but I had a minutes restriction. If the minutes are lifted in this matchup, I think Garland's kind of interesting here. That's my first thought. And Mobley is probably a little too cheap, and no one is going to play him.
No.
It's kind of interesting to me. What do you got in this game?
Oh, I don't have much. I just have like Brissett on the other side, and I have like Goga on the other side. That's pretty much all I have in this game. I think Cleveland's got like a lot of people now. And is Brogdon play? I really don't even know. Oh, Hield is on Indiana too. I honestly have no idea. I mean, I got to see who's starting. I got to see who's playing. I have no idea. These like post-trade teams, I have no idea what to do with these guys yet. Right. But I do think that with Sabonis gone, that Brissett and what's his name and Miles Turner still out, and Goga still remain in play.
Yeah, Isaiah Jackson and Terry Taylor's health. So it's really a question whether Brogdon, Jackson, and Taylor play. For me, I don't mind the Brissett idea, but if those other guys play, they may end up getting those minutes. So I want to sort of hold. The good news is we'll have a starting lineup. This is again, we have 3 games at 7 Eastern, which makes it really easier for us tonight, because at least we'll get the lineups in and have some idea of what to do. So happily we can just wait on this one. I really don't know what to do. Like if Buddy Hield is starting and Brogdon's out, and I would consider taking a shot at Buddy Hield in a new environment. But I probably for now I just want to put Indy with a big question mark, and then I'll wait and see what their starting lineup looks like. All right, OKC and Philly in a game that definitely seems nerve-wracking whether it'll stay close or not. Sheets, what are your thoughts here? Oh, by the way, I did one cool thing the other night in one lineup that almost did some big stuff. I did play Poku a little bit.
I was wondering if you got into that.
Yeah, it's like it's either a DNP CD or 38 fantasy points for this guy, I feel like. But
you're good. I'm telling you, at some point you're going to win 6 figures on that guy. I don't know when and where, but the other day could have been the one to do it. You just had to get the rest of your lineup right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a tough game to stay. I mean, to play Embiid 11-9 is tough. But I will say this is the last game of 50% usage for Joel Embiid, right? Before Harden gets there. That's something, I guess. But it's a stupid game. It really is. I don't really like much on Danny Green. I don't want to play that. I'm just looking at guys that are just showing up as like points per dollar play. He doesn't look that great. And then as always, Kenrich Williams in Oklahoma City looks to be a good point per dollar play that I don't want to play. And then really not a lot. Giddey, maybe. Nah, I really have no interest in this game.
I'm going to put like a circle in my early list. Like I do like Embiid actually. I think that they just have no way to match up with him, and he's going to put up 60 some odd fantasy points probably. That's just my initial lean. I want to know for sure what's happening with Maxey and Milton. If either of those guys are out at all, I'm going to jump right back probably on Korkmaz, but I think one of these value guys should get there, right? The minutes have to be spread out. They have to get minutes, and Thibault, we know he can do nothing in a bunch of minutes, but like, isn't this like the perfect matchup for Thibault to have like 5 steals and 2 blocks? Like, shouldn't we be thinking about him on maybe on FanDuel? Just because he could get to 20 fantasy points with steals and blocks on FanDuel against this OKC team. And OKC has, look, everybody's going to fall in love with the Kenrich thing. I'm just going to say we've seen this story before. We've seen him go up and down. I actually, again, like him as a real life player. Kenrich, Dort, and Giddey still. I think Giddey is like, I don't know why everybody's just decided not to play him anymore, but I know he hasn't put up this monster games, but he's been very consistent. And if they're going to stay in the game reasonably at all, like he should have something to do with it. So Kenrich, Giddey, and Dort, I'm all open to. More Giddey on FanDuel. more Dort on DraftKings, more Kenrich on either site for Kenrich. But again, it's not the best game. All right. What do you got for Denver and Boston?
So who died and left Bones Highland huge chalk? Is that the question we need to answer? I mean, he scored 35 fantasy points in the last game. Does that mean he's going to score 35 fantasy points this game? I don't know. Right now he's projecting to be 6 to 6.5x because of that, I imagine. And he's looking to be 25 to 30% owned plus. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that, what other value opens up. And right now he's projecting as the best value overall on the slate. Jokic, always a good play. 12-4, you'll probably be able to play him. And again, I like what DraftKings did. I mean, it makes it hard enough to play these guys that they're never going to be huge chalk. So if you play them and you can fill the rest of your lineup out, I mean, you can do something. So I do like him. I don't really like much else on the Denver side. And on Boston, these guys are actually look pretty good to me. Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Marcus Smart. And that is not bad, actually. I mean, you could do this. So I don't know if you can get away with all this, but if you wanted to play Jokic and one of those guys, then you probably have to play Bones Highland. You don't have to, but then you really need these sub 4K guys.
Right.
But I like both those. I like Smart. I like Jaylen Brown. I like Tatum. Run back with Jokic and hope you can make it work. That's got a shot.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I'm gonna be curious to see what happens if they don't start Bones Highland, because I think that's a possibility, because I think he's being projected to start. And I don't think he has to start. You have no Monty Morris, but they do have Austin Rivers, Bryn Forbes, Will Barton, and they have the best point guard in the league in Jokic.
Right. That's right.
But Bones Highland is extremely active. I really am impressed with him in his minutes that he plays. So if you tell me that's going to happen, but I mean, they could come out of nowhere. And I don't think they're going to do the composite thing much anymore, unfortunately, but you don't know who's going to necessarily start is my point. And if Highland doesn't start, he's a worse play, but a better play at the lower ownership. So that's the one thing to keep in mind. And I agree with you. I think that the Celtics do look pretty good here. It's kind of weird because I've been saying for a while, like we should be playing one of these guys, and pretty much one like always get there between the three of Tatum, Brown, and Smart for their price. And when they get there, they usually get there in a big way. Although lately it's been a little bit less of the Brown and Tatum, and Marcus Smart outside the one blowout game. He's basically like, I mean, even in some of the blowout games, he's been putting up 35s, and at 5,400, yeah, let's do Marcus Smart. Plus he's what I'm looking at, he's projected to be 22.22% owned, which is exactly the kind of percentage that I like for a little luck thing. So I like Marcus Smart. I'm on board with this as a run back to Jokic. And I think you could play Smart with one of the other two if you can afford it. And Jokic and Highland. I think this is an interesting, usually I don't stack Denver games, but this one feels pretty appealing to me.
Well, one thing you want to keep an eye on, by the way, is that is what, I don't know if it matters that much, but whether Derek White is activated, because he was traded to Boston.
That's true.
So I just want to, get a sense of whether he's going to play or not.
Yeah. And my guess is he wouldn't play a ton of minutes, but still, I think it's a good thing to look out for. I totally agree. But the other thing is, like, part of why these guys look good is because of Schroeder being traded. So it's not like, so then they just go back to being the same plays they were, right? Like if White's there. And Schroeder's a little bit lower. I mean, White's a little lower usage for the minutes that he plays than he would be. So, and you have a bunch of all the other guys they have, like outside, I mean, literally everybody's so nobody like creates except for those three guys really on this team. I guess you can say they run through some stuff through Horford, but I mean, yeah, even Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard, by the way, if White doesn't play, is my long shot GPP play for the Celtics.
So,
go ahead.
So moving on, I guess. Speaking of which, Derek White's traded from San Antonio. So now you get DeJounte Murray going against Atlanta. He can get 70. He can certainly get there in fine style, especially with White out, no longer with the team. And then you have Vassell at 4K, who's probably going to be. If I thought Bones Highland was going to be chalky, I think Vassell's going to be just as chalky, if not more so. I don't know, but anyway, he's going to project really, really well also now that White's gone. So I do like both those guys. And then you could certainly play Trae Young on the other side of that. Yep, you play Trae Young. Herder, I don't feel like playing too much. I'll let you tell me if I'm supposed to play Bogdanovich tonight, but I think this is very fair. You can play Trae and DeJounte Murray, and you could, add Vassell if you want, and you could do something, kind of a mini stack of this game as well.
Yeah, I'm very much with you on this. This feels like a just screaming to play DeJounte and play Trae on the other side to me. It just feels like, I mean, Cheats, we've been talking about these matchups, and it's crazy how much they come through. It's like it's like when Shea was playing the OKC point guard versus point. I mean, we see it with Murray all the time. And I love this spot. So I'm very happy to do that. I think these are a little higher priorities for me than some of these other plays. I think Murray is going to be really popular, but I think he's legitimately like probably one of the, maybe the best spend up for point per dollar from a point per dollar basis outside of maybe LaMelo. But those guys are, I mean, and it's weird because I love LaMelo. So it forces you into a funny build because if you want to play Murray, LaMelo, and Trae, that means you're using all your point guard, all your guard spots and your utility. So just it's interesting to keep in mind. Vassell, I think, is the most logical source of value, but I think you could make an argument for maybe playing Walker instead at like a millionth the ownership. And it's really going to be like they play a lot of hot handball in San Antonio, as you guys all know. And I just wouldn't overreact. Remember, we had a bunch of games without Derek White already this season and without Keldon Johnson at the same point. And it's not like Vassell and Walker always put up monster games. There was occasional games. It's not, it just at 50% plus ownership, I just feel like there's other ways to go, even though initially he does make sense. I don't think Zach Collins is getting minutes, like serious minutes anytime soon because of coming back from basically 3 years of injuries, but just wait. If they announce like he can play 24 minutes or something, play Zach Collins, just load up on him. I just don't think that's going to happen. And then on the other ones on the Atlanta side, like I feel like there's a few guys who make sense. I think DeAndre Hunter, I think Kevin Huerter makes some sense if you didn't want to play Trae. And I think Bogdanovich is always a terrific long shot tournament for play. So that's how I would have it. But I do think Trae is the more of the priority. And I think John Collins is also too cheap. I mean, there's a lot of games that look pretty stackable. So I'm gonna have to sort of rank these guys a little different. I will do my 5 and 5 video later also and try to figure out exactly who I like the best. But all of these guys make a lot of sense at the moment. And I would just lean more Hunter, maybe Hunter in a game stack with Trae or something, or maybe Collins with Hunter. All of those ways make a lot of sense. Both these teams don't play a lot of defense, and the game should play at a really, really blistering pace. So I'm very into this game. All right, what do you got?
Minnesota, Chicago. Well, Chicago's playing well, but I got to tell you, man, I was watching some of the Phoenix game, Milwaukee game last night. It's almost like Phoenix is like toying with people. It's like it's ridiculous in a way. You see what Ayton was doing? That's the other one that you were
I played him
pounding the table on was Ayton. Yeah, that was he did great. He did great. And Phoenix was literally just toying with them. I mean, they could have just like, they could have pulled guys like even before they did. It was like ridiculous. In any case, I mean, Chicago, they might be, I don't know if they're the best team in the East when they get all the guys back, but either Phoenix is like amazing or Milwaukee is just not really that great. I don't know. In any case, it should be a pretty good game. Vooch has been playing really, really well in most of the time, except when he's playing against Phoenix or Embiid. You know what I mean? So he could have a really, really good game against Cat, I believe. And the thing is, though, is that with Levine back and DeRozan playing really well, it's kind of tough for two of those guys to hit big ceilings. It's almost kind of hard for one of them to hit a really, really big ceiling with those other two playing full minutes. That's the only thing I worry about. And then on the Minnesota side, Cat's always playable. D'Angelo Russell's always playable. I feel as though I should do more of this game. But I probably will. But I like DeRozan. I like Vooch. And then on Minnesota, I like Russell and
yeah, so all these great plays are going to be the reason why Jokic is going to get no ownership on this slate.
I guess so, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but that's actually that's a great opportunity for us to play a low-owned Jokic on draft. He'll get ownership on FanDuel because it's too easy to get everybody in. But anyway, so Minnesota, I'd like to know who's playing.
That'd be nice, right?
Yeah. It's the usuals for me. Patrick Beverley, for some reason, like this guy, all he does is just basically 5x every single time. Like back in the day for DFS, he would have been like the perfect play every night because for cash, because he just 5x's. I think he's still too cheap, and I think he's got a higher ceiling. And they've been in a lot of blowouts lately on different sides of it, and then they had it back to back, so he didn't play as many minutes in the last game. I like Beverley from a points per dollar perspective. I like Towns, and I like. It's hard for me to pick between Russell and Edwards. It's been the Russell show lately, but I think that playing Edwards at 1/10 the ownership might be the way to go today, just because of the ownership. And then on the Bulls side, you have the same other thing with the other big guys. It's a great matchup. I think DeRozan would probably be my favorite. Along DeRozan, Vooch, and Levine are all really close for me. I think I would go DeRozan, Vooch, 1 and 1A, then Levine. I don't know how much of this game I'm going to have exposure to, but that's the way I'm looking at it right now. And if Desonmu doesn't play, I will jump right back onto Kobe White.
If Desonmu, you'll go right back to Kobe White. Okay.
Yeah. Orlando and Utah. This is a ugly situation here for Orlando. The only way I'm playing Orlando players, I think, is if Jalen Suggs sits, which is possible, but I don't think it's likely. I think Gobert might be back. I don't want to do anything with the exception of I'm always happy to play Donovan Mitchell, who always ends up being lower owned than he's projected. That's all I really have in this game. And Bogdanovich on FanDuel, I guess. Is he still the same price? I'm just double checking. I believe he is still cheap enough. So, but Bogdanovich though gets a big bump down for me if Gobert does play. So
I agree with that 100%. I have the only interest I have in this game is perhaps Donovan Mitchell. I literally couldn't add anything else to that. I'll just gaze at it just for the hell of it, but I don't really see anything on either side. At least given the current state of who's playing. Like you said, if someone's out, then we can certainly readdress it. But but the combination of blowout risk plus nobody projecting well anyway. I mean, no real interest.
Yeah, that's sort of where I'm at. I do think it wouldn't surprise me if Cole Anthony had a big game at one point, and
sure, why not?
You're just playing the why are we doing it today kind of a thing. You know what I mean? We have plenty of other opportunities to play them when they make a lot more sense.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, good luck to everybody out there today. Check out mine and Rhodey's Super Bowl preview. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Jump in the Discord. If you haven't done that, I'll put it on the video as we always do, because we've had a bunch of people firing in, more people adding to the site, and we're improving things. We're going to really start making a difference. We've got a much stronger team than we had before, and it's going to start showing a big time in a short period. So I will be with you live at 6. Sheets, you're out today.
Yep.
And good. Anything else, Sheets, before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, watch for the MMA videos over the weekend. That's coming today. Again, just try to be patient with the weekends in general. I do my best to get the basketball stuff up. It's literally operating at 20-30%. But I'll tell you, back when I subscribed to some of the sites, even Daily Roto, when I was there, they even said, listen, we don't do anything on the weekends. So the fact that I do anything, I'm really trying my best. The very least, you'll get an early view, and if I remember, I'll post my takes or something like that. But I do go out Saturday nights, and I'm just not around. So
yeah,
that's I'll do the best I can, and continue to watch for guest people on there. I want to try to get Pierce and Brandon Cruz back on the site to preview the return of NASCAR, which is next weekend, and just continuing to expand our offerings.
Absolutely. All right. Well, good luck to everybody out there, and let's crush it today, and hope you all have a great weekend, and go Rams. Good luck, all.
Go Rams.